Hello my darlings and welcome to today's literacy. Now I'm going to start off by sharing with you one of the versions of Jack and the Beanstalk that I have. Well, technically it's the only version I have here, but I've shared a lot of the other versions that are available. Now there are pretty much endless versions available because people can interpret it their own way and they can retell it because of course now you have listened to lots of versions of Jack and the Beanstalk and now you could go and tell your own version of Jack and the Beanstalk to somebody else, and then they could go and tell it to somebody else. And every time people tell a story, they might make little changes because we all remember things very slightly differently. And of course, when people go to write things down and get them printed in books, they put their own different touches to the story. So this is a different version again, and this is from a book that has lots of fairy tales in it. So this is a first book of fairy tales. So it's stories retold by Mary Hoffman and illustrated by Julie Downing. Here we go. So, Jack and the Beanstalk. Many years ago, there lived a woman and her son called Jack. She gave him everything he asked for until one day there was nothing left. I wonder if you can already tell some differences in this story, between this story and some of the other stories you've heard. So all they had of any value was their old cow, so the woman sent Jack to sell her. He hadn't got very far when he met a strange little man. "Where are you going with that cow?" he asked. "To the market," said Jack. "No need," said the man. "I'll give you these beans for her." Jack was such a foolish fellow that he agreed. So here we go. There's Jack and the old cow and the funny little man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beans, the stranger counted. And Jack ran home to tell his mother. There's his mum. But his mother wasn't pleased at all. "You good-for-nothing boy," she shouted and threw Jack's beans out of the window. The next morning there was a marvellous beanstalk, whoosh, as strong as an oak tree, growing right up to the sky. Oak trees are very strong indeed. Without a thought, Jack climbed up it and found himself in another country. He found a giant's castle and persuaded the giant's wife to feed him. But then he heard heavy footsteps and a loud voice saying, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." Yikes! "Quick! Hide in the oven," said the giant's wife. The giant looked around, but he didn't see Jack, so he sat down to eat his huge meal. Then he called for his pet hen. Okay, so look, here's Jack in the oven. Okay, this is an old-fashioned style of oven. From his hiding place, Jack could see that the hen laid an egg of solid gold here every time the giant asked her to. Soon the giant fell asleep and Jack rushed out and grabbed the hen. He escaped down the beanstalk before the giant woke up. So here is the sleepy giant. Yeah. Jack's mother was very relieved to see him and they lived well by selling the golden eggs. So now they've got a nice living. But the beanstalk was still there, tempting Jack. Oh, it's calling to him. Not literally, it's just kind of, just by being there, it's like, "Oh, you could come and climb me again. What's up the top again?" Then one day, without telling his mother, Jack climbed the huge beanstalk again. Everything happened as before. The giant roared, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." This time Jack hid in a cupboard. There he is hiding behind a cup. And again the giant couldn't find Jack. After dinner the giant got out his money bags and counted his coins, but soon he was asleep and snoring. Quickly Jack grabbed a bag and slid back down the beanstalk. 3 years later, Jack climbed the beanstalk again. This time he hid in a wash tub when the giant roared. So wash tubs are where people used to do their washing before we had washing machines. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." The giant looked for Jack but didn't find him. Then the giant asked his wife to fetch the golden harp. Soon he fell asleep. So a harp is a musical instrument, plays beautiful music. Jack crept out of the wash tub and grabbed the harp. But the harp cried out, "Help! I'm being run! The giant woke up and chased Jack to the top of the beanstalk. But Jack was lighter than the giant. So the giant is heavier. Okay, he weighs more. And Jack reached the bottom quickly. He flung down the harp and grabbed an axe to chop the beanstalk. It crashed down, and that was the end of the giant. So there's the giant up there, falling down, crash, and there's Jack chopping the beanstalk. It was also the end of Jack's adventures. He lived happily with his mother, along with the hen that laid eggs of solid gold, and the harp that sang beautiful songs. The end. There we go. There are lots of other lovely fairy tales in that book. So, now that you've heard that one, I wonder if you can tell your adult how it was different to some of the other versions that you have heard, because there were some differences, weren't there? Now, for today's literacy challenge, I would like you to think about one of the stories that you have heard this week. So we've heard lots of stories about Jack, haven't we? Lots of different versions of Jack. But we've also heard some other stories as well. In our reading room, we've had lots of different stories about princesses, unconventional princesses. Unconventional means princesses that aren't like the normal type. So often when we think of princesses, we think of girls in big poofy dresses who often need saving. And these princesses have challenged that image that we have in our head, and they have been rather different, haven't they? So they are unconventional princesses. So I'd like you to pick one of the books that we have had this week and think about what you liked about it, why it was your favourite book, why you particularly liked it. And then on Flipgrid, you can make your own little video sharing your thoughts about the story and what you liked about it, what was great about it, what did you find interesting or funny or scary, or what made you think it was cool? What did you like about your favourite story of this week? And remember, the great thing about Flipgrid is once I have seen your videos and okayed them, then you can see each other's in the Flipgrid room, and I will also share them to the Google Classroom stream. And you can add those fun filters as well. I can see some of you have started to add those, so adding like different colours or fun things like unicorns at the bottom and things, so you can do some quite cool stuff with that. Right, go and discuss your favourite book of the week and why. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Bye for now.